And now, our feature presentation.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. Nostalgia can be a wonderful thing. It can take you to a time when things were easier and not so scary and hectic. It can bring you closer to those around you by sharing similar memories even though you weren't together at the time. But it can also deter you from taking chances and experiencing the unknown. It can also suppress creativity and restrain ingenuity. Nostalgia, by definition, is a sentimental longing or wistful affection for the past, typically for a period or place with happy personal association. When we experience nostalgia, we are taken back to a time that was happy. We escape into our memories, forgetting about divided politics, mass shootings, the shit jobs that we hate, our feelings of being alone, and our fear for the future. As a society, we are so obsessed with escaping back to simpler times that everything around us has shifted into feeding those desires. Fashion, media, advertising, memes. Everything now is nostalgia based. You want to look cool? Wear a 90s sweatshirt. Want to make lots of money with your TV show or movie? Remake or reboot. Want to sell a product? Just make a new age Pepperidge Farm commercial. You want your meme to get popular? Just reference something that everybody can relate to and remembers. Every single one of the top grossing movies of 2018 were all based off of IP that came out over 15 years ago. But if I'm being honest, I only really consider 3 of those nostalgia. But also, 32 of the 97 movies that are listed to coming out in 2019 on IMDb are also based off of IP that came out at least 15 years ago. That's over a third of the movies this year. Now, I'm not saying these movies are bad and that we shouldn't go see them. I literally saw half of the 2018 list in theaters. But I do think we need to not be so focused on nostalgia. We shouldn't keep thinking that things were better in the past. We should be looking around us and realizing what we have now. I'm personally most nostalgic for the late 90s. That was a period of time where my life felt almost perfect. But if life would have never progressed past the 90s, I would have never gotten to experience all the amazing technology, all the amazing media and TV shows and movies and music that's come out since then. I wouldn't be able to get to see the massive strides we've taken as the human race. I would have never met the amazing people in my life that I didn't know back then. And I would never get to experience all the things that the future has in store for me. Now, nostalgia isn't all bad. While studying for this video, I went back and watched countless 90s nostalgia videos on YouTube. I pretty much listened to the entirety of Now That's What I Call Music's 2 through 5. And it was a pretty fun trip down memory lane. Me and my girlfriend sat there and shared stories about our childhood, and I got to remember some truly great parts of my life. And studies have shown that nostalgia can help soothe the inner worries of people with high anxiety. It can also help people who are going through big changes in their life, like moving out on their own for the very first time, or moving to a new city. But nostalgia can also blind people to all the flaws that were going on in that time period. My previously mentioned almost perfect life back in the late 90s really wasn't when I think about it, but it was still easier than what came later. So when I get nostalgic, I forget about those bad times. I just remember the good. I just remember how easy everything was. And that applies to everyone. People who are nostalgic about high school forget about all the stress and drama that every teenager goes through. And people who are nostalgic about their early 20s forget about how scary it was and how hard it was to survive on your own for the first time. Nostalgia can also very easily lead to homesickness. Now, homesickness isn't necessarily about a place. It can be anywhere where you felt most at home and most comfortable with your surroundings. So these people who are nostalgic for high school or their childhoods can go from longing and wishing for things to be like that again to being completely obsessed over it. And while nostalgia, for the most part, is mentally harmless, being homesick can do very serious things to you. It can make you blind to the good around you and make you never happy until you return to where you felt most at home. And some people who feel homesickness for a time period and not a place may never feel happy until they get professional help. It can send them into a serious depression and make them angrier and angrier about what's around them. Every day they'll think about how their life is over because they can never return to how things were, which I'm sure can lead to a serious depression or even violence against people who this person feels made things worse for them. If we stay stuck in the past, things never progress. Instead of Jurassic Park 10, maybe we make something new that hasn't been thought about before. Instead of dressing like the 90s, how about we design something new that hasn't been done before? Instead of thinking about how great life was back in the day, we see the past for how it really was. And instead of making the same mistakes over and over because we want life to be like it used to be, maybe we learn from the past and move forward. If we keep trying to make things like they were then we can never truly fix the problems that we have now that we didn't have back then. Learn from your past, enjoy the present, and look to the future. Thanks for watching.